Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to another Hunter x Hunter arc review. I actually didn't know we were getting to this one this quick, but yeah. Um, as I mentioned before, I am watching with Rough Senpai's reactions, and in his reactions on Patreon, he just finished the Yorknew City arc. So let's talk about one of the most popular arcs in the series by far, and why I think that it was good. It was really good, but not as good as others are saying. Already controversial, right? But so let's talk about this. So Yorknew City picks up kind of where we left off. Um, we have Gon and Killua heading back to Whale Island, and after the Tower and the Heavens Arena arc, they head back there. They hang out with Aunt Mito a little bit, but they end up getting Gon ends up getting this box from his father. It was left to Aunt Mito by his father back all those years ago, and he finds out it can only be opened by Nen. When opening it, he ends up finding a couple different things, but the first thing he finds is a tape. They play the tape, and it's a message from Gene, Gon's father, and it's basically just saying like, yeah, I don't want to see you. I don't feel like I deserve to see you. After all this time, hunting is my life. It's all I care about. That kind of stuff, basically. Um, and he's about to talk about Gon's mother, but Gon refuses to hear it because, in his eyes, he doesn't really care. To him, Mito is his mother, and that's all that matters to him. That's all he needs to know. So Gene had some Nen infused into the tape player and whatnot, and so it erases over the tape so they can't hear it again. I guess just for security purposes or something. But they then find out that this memory card they have, that was another thing in the box left by Gene, is a memory card for a video game system that has save files for the game Greed Island on it. So they decide to leave Whale Island in order to find out what the deal with this all is. It's about this time that they head back to Yorknew City, and though they get there earlier than the meetup time they were supposed to have with Karapika and Leorio is, they still end up meeting up with Leorio pretty quickly. Um, and meanwhile, Karapika is doing his own thing. Karapika ended up getting a job working as a bodyguard for basically a mafia family. And he starts working with the family and working with some other bodyguards, including Melody, who is just like the best. Like seriously, she's awesome, and I just really like her character. But you see plenty of other characters and everything, and I finally found out where that anime "wow" sound is from. There's this one bodyguard in the series. I can't remember her name right now, but her Nen power is that she can control people that she kisses, kind of like a poison ivy kind of thing. She kisses them and she can like control them. Um, when she kisses someone, it makes that wow sound, that anime wow sound that I've just heard everywhere. Like even MatPat in GT Live and Game 3 and stuff has used it. And it's like, I've always wondered where the hell is that from? And now I know it's from Hunter x Hunter. Um, but yeah, so Karapika's working with these other guards, and he's working specifically this job because the this mafia boss has a penchant for collecting body parts, which could include the eyes of a Kurta. Yeah, it's all very creepy and disgusting and disturbing. We get it. But he starts working with them, and they're going to be involved in the Yorknew auction, which was the setup for Karapika, Leorio, Gon, and Killua reuniting and all. They're going to reunite at Yorknew City around the time of the auction. So Karapika's working the job, and when the auction comes up, it's attacked by the Phantom Troop, the same people, the same group who killed the Kurta clan in the first place. Because this arc is all about that. Um, so that's kind of the setup stuff, and I'm not going to be able to mention everything that happens in this. So I'm probably going to only focus on some of the most memorable parts because there's so much that happens in this arc. Even though it's only one episode longer than the Hunter exam arc, so much more happens. It feels so much more full, so much more. There's just so much going on in this arc that it feels like it doesn't feel bloated. It just feels almost like its own series. Like you could take out this arc and with just having like maybe some explanation at the beginning of who the characters are and how they got there, it could be pretty much its own series. I mean, I guess technically a better way to put it is that you could take out this arc and like make a movie out of it, and it would work as its own movie, completely separate from everything else. That would be that's a good way to put it. Um, because it feels while it does feel like a natural progression for the series, it also feels like its own thing. It's and there's so much going on that it feels like it's just separated in a way. It just and it feels like it goes on longer than it does as well. Like the Hunter exam arc felt a lot quicker than this in terms of its pacing. Um, so let's talk about some of the parts of this that really stood out to me. First off, the Phantom Troop themselves. The Phantom Troop, not entirely what I was expecting. Going into this, I did know about a few of the members because obviously I had known about Hunter x Hunter for long before I ever started checking it out, and I knew about a couple of the characters beforehand. There's this character named Shizuku, who's like this, not really ditzy, but not. I don't know how to put it. She's not ditzy. She's not really airheaded, but she's almost kind of like I don't know. She just kind of feels like she's not 100% there all the time. Like not in terms of like intelligence or anything, more just like she's not like focused on anything at the time. She's just kind of like floating around or whatever. You know what I mean. I hope you know what I mean. But she has like this vacuum cleaner that she uses her Nen with and everything, and it's really fucking creepy and weird. But it's like I knew about her beforehand. I had known about her already. Um, and of course, we knew about Hisako. Blah, blah, blah. Wow, I messed it up. Hisaka and Machi because they both appeared prior to this in the series. And I had brief, very minor knowledge on the leader, Crollo Lucifer. Um, I'd seen him before and I knew his name. That's pretty much it. But I did know of him. And I had seen the other girl, Pakunoda, as well somewhere, and I don't remember where, but I had seen her maybe on an anime site or something. But I had seen a picture of her before as well. But some of the others, like I didn't know anything about. Like there's this guy who's wrapped up like a mummy with boxing gloves. There's this other dude who has like this long ass hair, and you only ever see one of his eyes. Um, there's the samurai guy who's named Nobunaga because of course he is named Nobunaga. Stuff like that. Um, yeah, the Phantom Troop weren't quite what I was expecting entirely. In terms of their personalities, the way they just in general have such diverse designs, their overall like actions and whatnot. They came across as very, I guess you could say, weird to me. when I expected more of like this creepy, like dark and really just intimidating force. And yes, they're intimidating to a point because they're extremely strong. Their powers are great. They have like really great senses. So yeah, they're very intimidating, but not in the way I thought they were going to be. Like I thought they were going to be more scary, especially having seen Lucifer's, Corolla Lucifer's design before. Like he is fucking creepy looking, and he's really not that creepy of a character. Um, but yeah, they're a really interesting bunch. The ones that stand out most to me are Shizuku, who again is the vacuum cleaner girl, Pakunoda, the other girl who has memory based Nen abilities, Nobunaga, the samurai, that's pretty much his character, um, and Uvogan, probably, because he's kind of the first one we really focus on, so my mind kind of like tended to focus on him as well. Um, yeah, the leader too a little bit, but I'll get more into that as well later. Um, in general, the troop were really interesting. They had a lot of great moments and a lot of points to play in this arc. But because they are so important in this arc, of course, we have to talk about Karapika. So Karapika has learned Nen, and he's learned some really interesting ways to use his Nen, as we see in this arc. And that is definitely one of the biggest positives of this arc for sure. The way it handles Karapika and his Nen use. Um, because honestly, Karapika and the way he uses his Nen, his specific Nen abilities and all, honestly, at this point, is the most interesting, most cool, and just most insanely well done application of Nen we've seen. None of the Phantom Troop even stand up to him, in my opinion, in terms of their Nen, in terms of their Nen being really that cool and well handled and all. And that's not to say that their Nen is bad or anything. No, but their Nen's great, but it doesn't hold a candle to Karapika's. We find out that because of being a Kurta and having the entire thing with his eyes, Karapika can actually be two completely different Nen users. He's a conjurer normally. He's able to conjure these chains on his hands that he can use in various ways. One chain can act as a binding spell that forces the opponent to activate their Zetsu, shutting off their aura in the process. One chain he can stab into the hearts of himself or others and put a basically death uh, deal into them, making it so that if they break the deal, the dagger will pierce their heart and kill them instantly, and so on and so forth. Each of the chains have a different purpose, and it's really interesting to see, and really interesting to see him use them. Um, so I really like that. But on top of that, when his eyes go red, he becomes a specialist, which means that he can use any type of Nen ability that he has learned, no matter what classification it falls under. Basically, a specialist. We've already heard about it before, but this arc really tells us exactly what a specialist is. A specialist is basically god tier Nen user. If you're a specialist, you can do pretty much whatever you want. Um, and the fact that Karapika can become a specialist at will by turning his eyes red, which is something he actually managed to perfect in this arc as well. That's insane. That's that just makes him so much stronger than any of our other main characters at this moment. And maybe Gon will surpass him, maybe Killua will surpass him in the future, but at this point, no, they are weaker than him, and that's undeniable to me. which is wild because again, Gon is the main character, and usually in a lot of these shonen, the main character is the strongest. That's usually how it goes, at least of the main group. Um, but no, here it's at this moment at least it's Kurapika. Gon might end up being the strongest, but at this moment it's Kurapika. Um, but yeah, so we have a lot of great stuff with Kurapika here. Honestly, the fight between Kurapika and Uvogin is my favorite episode in the series so far. Not only does it first start to reveal the full capacity of um, Kurapika's Nen abilities, but it also is just so damn well animated, so damn well written. It's I have literally zero issues with the episode because it's just that damn perfect. It's that damn good. I love everything about it. It's my favorite episode of the series so far. I don't remember the exact number it was, by the way, so that's why I didn't mention that. But yeah, the episode where Kurapika fights Uvogin. Um, there's also this girl throughout this arc who is kind of the boss, but also kind of the daughter of the boss. It's complicated. She's referred to as the boss, but also the boss is technically her father, I guess. I don't know. But she has this Nen ability where she's able to write people's predictions. She doesn't know what's being written as it's being written, though, because it's basically tapping into this special Nen power. And she doesn't ever read them afterwards because she feels it's bad luck or something. But she becomes a target by the leader, Krola Lucifer, who his Nen ability is to steal Nen abilities from others and use them for himself, which is really wild. um, and then you have the Zoldyck family who come into play, at least a couple of them. We see four members throughout this arc. We see Illumi and one of, I assume, Killua's other siblings at one point. Well, actually, at a couple points, really, but mostly at one point when they kill the 10 Mafia Dons. But then you also get to see Killua's father and grandfather actually working a job with Kurapika, ironically enough. Although they don't really have too much communication, it's just they're working kind of in the same job. So it's really wild. And you actually get to see them fight, and it's like, holy shit, these two are strong. Like, holy shit. It's like we knew they were going to be strong, but holy shit, we actually get to see them in action. Um, and let's talk about the way the arc ends briefly. This is where I might have the unpopular opinion. I did not like the way this arc ended. I thought it was so extremely anticlimactic, it felt boring. I was just really disappointed on all levels with how Kurapika ended up handling things in the end, with how Hisoka and the Phantom Troop handled things in the end. The fact that it didn't end with any kind of big fight or anything was disappointing. The fact that it didn't end on any kind of big note was disappointing. And what happened with the leader, Krola Lucifer, super disappointing. I really don't like what they did with him, honestly. Um, the best part of the ending was what they did with Pakunoda. Like, they made Pakunoda just one of the best characters in the Phantom Troop for me, easily. I just really cared about her. So it's like I really appreciate what they did with that. Um, but yeah, just in general, a lot of it was just really disappointing and just boring. It felt like it just kind of fizzled out for an arc that was so impressive, so intense, so exciting, pretty much the entire way through. To just end, to just fizzle out in the end like that is really sad. It really just saddened me. Um, but yeah, we get to see some awesome other stuff. Like I said, I love Melody and I love her application in this arc. She does a really great job working with Kurapika. And honestly, she's just really cool. I love her musical based Nen abilities. I like her backstory and her goal as a huntress or hunter. I guess yeah. I keep wanting to use Ruby terms. Um, it's just hunters in this one. Male, female doesn't matter. They're still just hunters. As a hunter, she has a specific goal related to her past and everything, and I love it. And I really like her character. Okay, I really love her character. Um, but we get to see some other like bodyguards and whatnot and mafia characters, and none of them really matter. But one big thing that is notable about this arc is it starts to get a lot darker than the previous arcs have been. Like there was some little bit of darkness in the previous arcs, but this one really starts to get darker. There's a lot more death, a lot more just heavy violence and blood, and really dark themes. It's a much more it's like this is really where it kicks off, and that's why I feel like this arc is seen as one of the best arcs of the series by many, and why a lot of people just praise it to high heaven. Um, and while I don't like it as much as other people, I still do very much love it, and I just feel like it does fizzle out too much, and in the end, isn't as good as I'd want it to be. Honestly, but it's still very good. It's still very good. It still has a lot to love about it, and I can't wait to see where this goes because technically the storyline that has already been started with trying to get a cartridge of Greed Island at the auction is still a go. That goal is still going on, and that is going to carry over into our next arc, which is the Greed Island arc. So yeah, makes sense. Um, oh, and there was some funny ass moments. Just real quick before we end, I do want to mention that there were some really funny moments. There's this part at the end of the arc where Hisoka finds out about Lucifer's fate, about like what Karapika did to him, and he's talking to Crollo and he finds out about it, and his face just goes completely blank, and it's just like this blank disappointment face, and it's like hilarious. Um, and then there's this other part, the funniest part by far in this series so far. Um, the um one of the Phantom Troop guys, I don't remember his name, and I honestly don't know if we even saw what he does, really. He's kind of like this big, buff looking blonde dude who's just kind of intimidating just because he's this big, buff dude. He's talking to Karapika on the phone, and Karapika is like giving him these like orders, like oh you because they have Gon and Killua in custody. So Karapika's like being like one of his orders is you can't hurt them and everything, and so he tries to like see if he can mess with Karapika a little. He's like, okay, well we've already beaten them up, we've already broken a few bones. So what are you gonna do about that? And Karapika's like, well, I guess our conversation's over, and just hangs up. And for a split second, the dude is just standing there like, wait, what just happened? And then he calls back. He's like, I'm sorry, I lied. And it's really fucking funny because he sounds so defeated by it. He sounds so defeated by just the fact that he was just kind of that did not go according to his plan at all, and that just kind of like I don't know. I don't even know why. You have to see it to understand why it's so funny, but it is so fucking funny. Um, but yeah, yeah, I did love this arc. Just I don't think it was as good as so many others tend to say it was. But tell me in the comments below what you thought of the Yorknew City arc of Hunter x Hunter. And thank you so much for tuning in. I don't know when we'll get to the next arc review. It'll just depend on when Rough Senpai's reactions to that arc end up finishing. So sometime down the line. But either way, like I said, tell me your thoughts on this arc down below, and thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.